producing changed. They made Logic. They made Fruity Loops. It's called Too Easy. It's called you tell the computer what to program.
What's going down? It's the Music Entrepreneur Club. My name's DJ Payne One, and I am here with Aaron Knight and Dame Ritter. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. How are both of you feeling today?
I definitely had something. I had something that threw me this morning. Just kind of, I don't think our social media feed is healthy. We definitely have to balance that. And actually, I'm starting a new podcast called the Independent Living Podcast, and both artists mentioned something about mental health without me even asking that specific question. And I think that the social media kind of relates to that, because I was scrolling, is it healthy to kind of see a cat video, fight, a death, and then somebody else making light of something, then some music, then a movie, going through those ranges of emotions so quickly is tough sometimes. And one hit me this morning. I'm not going to talk about it, but yeah, it just definitely kind of threw me. So I'm a little not disoriented, but I wasn't ready for the podcast, but I'm sure I'll jump back into it in a few minutes once you guys start talking. How are you doing, Aaron? You doing better this week?
I am doing better. I'm not saying that it's rainbows and butterflies over here. But I think last week I was going through the process of unhinging myself from the climb. Climbing has been what I've done my whole life. And I think that part of the grief that I was suffering last week was realizing I just can't be here anymore, at least under these terms. So I feel better this week because I've unhinged from that. But now breaking that down to all of the people that I work with in a specific way, most of them are privy. Everybody knows kind of where I'm at in my head, but they don't know where I'm going. So that's today. Today, I've been having a lot of these conversations, and I'm taking a leave of absence from a couple of my companies. I'm restructuring another one. I'm still going to be here with the MEC because this is one of my favorite things to do, but I'm doing better. But I think stepping into one of the harder, more challenging parts of separating from what has been my life for the last 12 years.
Yeah, the music industry will send you on a wild ride. You'll have very high highs, very low lows. That's one. Hopefully, that's some of the advice that can be pulled out of these podcasts, because we've talked about it, a lot. Before we jump into a topic, I need your guys' perspective. It's a debate we were having. We have a Blackbusters podcast where we review a movie every week, a different Black film. And we watched This Christmas recently, with the one with Chris Brown. Have both of you guys seen that? Have you seen it, Payne?
Assume that I've never seen any movie, because I haven't.
Okay. All right. Well, then this will just be a poll of one. Aaron, from 1 to 5, 5 being the best and 1 being a very terrible movie, what do you give This Christmas?
A 4.2.
4.2. That's strong. Okay. That's it. This isn't the Blackbusters podcast, so we don't have to keep diving into it.
4.2 is strong. I say it must have gotten eaten up on Blackbusters, huh?
No. So Ja actually gave it a 5, and I was surprised by that, because he's a movie buff. So yeah,
it's lighthearted. The story is told well. The acting is done well. The music is great. It's not this deeply intellectually charged thing, but I feel like Black people aren't allowed the opportunity to be mediocre. And if this isn't a mediocre film, but I think because it's either it has to be Black Panther, or it has to be a cultural documentary about the history of Black people. There doesn't give us space to just be. 90s movies did, but especially now, there's not space just to have a Black experience and talk about it. So I feel like this movie sits there, and even if they would have just done it okay, I would have liked it, but they did it really well. It was a simple, Black, funny film. There was enough undertones for Black people to feel like this was our movie, but anybody who's not Black can see it. So I really rock with it. And I don't like even celebrate Christmas or anything like that. It's just like I rock with the film.
That was a good review.
I thought it was, I won't give my full spiel, but I thought it was a little better than average. Because, yeah.
I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. There's no place for Black mediocrity in film right now. So I feel like it's slightly better than mediocre, but because the basics were done well, I'm giving it because it just gives us space. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, damn, we got to sit through this and support it. It was like, oh, I rock with this. It wasn't anything life-changing. So I'm going to give it a bump because it gave us more space as Black people.
Got you. Okay, cool. All right, let's jump into what people listen to us for. Payne, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, let's jump right into the DJ Khaled controversy. I feel like he's just good at delivering sound bites that cause controversies. And he's done it. A lot of them were more cultural. This time it's about the music business. So I don't know.
I feel like he's always saying something. Does he have something coming out? Did he do this on purpose?
He just dropped his new golf line with Jordan, which is actually very genius. So I'm wondering if that is what this is, because God Did just dropped, this summer, and they did like a remix out, not a remix, I think an extended edition. So it's not time for him to be doing music. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't think. So it could be the golf line, but this could just be him.
Well, for context, let me just play his words, the ones that caught everybody. It's really short. And then I'll share my thoughts on it.
Too easy. It's called you tell the computer the program. Producing change. They made Logic. They made Fruity Loops. It's called Too Easy. It's called you tell the computer what to program. That's why you see everybody is a producer and a DJ now. But it takes a great producer like me to tell them sounds is garbage. They're fake. Don't fall for the trap. Producing change. They made Logic.
So I don't think that's a thoughtful take on anything. And I don't think anybody can look at, some people have, and say, wow, Khaled really thought that one through, because he didn't. I mean, it was just kind of belligerent. But I'm not in the school of thought that DJ Khaled's not a real producer. He is. I think it's funny. I don't want to get into the definition of producing, but I feel like as a backlash of this narrative that beatmakers aren't real producers, birthed a new narrative that if you don't actually play an instrument or touch a keyboard or something, you're not a real producer, which I disagree with. I think both sides are wrong, but it's just a funny debate. So a lot of people are like, DJ Khaled never made a beat in his life. He's not a real producer. He's made lots of beats, but that's not the point. Producing is a wide world. It's a wide range of talents. And Khaled is definitely a producer. And I'm not here to disrespect him in any way. I think he does what he does well. I think a lot of people who are talented and worthy of respect tend to just run their mouths from time to time and say things that are half-baked ideas. So I'll start out by saying this. He's absolutely right that FL Studio and Logic make producing beats more accessible and easier. I agree with that. I also agree that because production is more accessible, it seems like everybody is a producer, right? And I don't think everyone is a producer, of course, but that number has increased because the barrier to entry was way higher 20 years ago. It was way more expensive. It was more difficult. You needed a lot more physical hardware than you do now. And I think there is this impulse in humans to look at people who have an easier time pursuing what they pursued and feeling, I don't know if it's jealousy, if it's anger, but it's that kind of, I went through it. Why don't you have to go through it? I mean, there were people who were commenting, well, back in the day, synths kind of were easy, but you still had to plug in cables. I'm like, really? We're going to argue about plugging in some damn cables? So what my problem with what DJ Khaled is saying stems from his logic versus how he, in fact, lives his life. When actions don't match your words, that's when things get problematic to me. So he mentioned DJs, actually. He said, that's why everyone's a producer and DJ. Well, Khaled, that's what a lot of people said about Serato when it came out. There was a big backlash about Serato. Serato is digital. Serato made DJing easier. Everyone's going to be a DJ now. Guess what DJ Khaled uses? Serato. Why? Because it's convenient. It doesn't make you a worse DJ the same way that using FL Studio doesn't make you a worse beat maker. It's just new technology. Because here's the thing about technology. It's supposed to make the process easier. It just is. Cars make travel easier. Photoshop makes graphic design easier. It's easier than drafting something by hand. I don't know. Name a technology. There's not a technology alive that's innovating by making life less convenient. So that's a silly point to make, but it's also sillier still, given that Khaled is taking advantage of these newer technologies, including FL Studio and Logic and Pro Tools. I mean, are his albums mixed and recorded on like a 12 track? No, they're in Pro Tools. Are his beats made, with SP 1200s? No, they're made in FL Studio and Logic. I mean, to the point where some of his biggest hits, I mean, the producers responsible for them are openly using FL and weighing in on the conversation, saying, wait a minute, Hit Boy was one of them. I used FL for this song and that song. But I don't want to argue about those finer points. This is, and here's a question that I have for the two of you, because neither of you are producers. I'm reminded of something that Curtis King said recently. And he said something basically and this was actually in response to the Futuristic video, because Futuristic came out and also had kind of an inflammatory take. I give him a little less credit because he pre-recorded this on his own volition. Khaled was just speaking off the cuff on a radio interview. Curtis King's point was, people have seen how producers are reactive when people comment on our community, and they're exploiting that now for clicks and likes. I think the fact that Futuristic video, and I'm a part of it, got so much traction and so many reactions indicates that. But now it feels like, I mean, DJ Khaled, like Futuristic is successful in his own right. Khaled is a household name. Why is he spending his energy speaking on what producers do? So Curtis King's point was that we're like, the producer community is the new target for clickbait. Are you seeing that too?
I think as the internet changes, yes, the targets are changing, but I would almost say that there are more producers than artists, because when it comes to being an artist, yes, you can just put out music, but the way that the 21st century is going, to be an artist, your face has to be forward. To be a producer, you don't have to do that, And so there's people trying to break into this industry or have ideas for this industry or think that there's a lot of simplicity in being a part of this industry because of things like FL Studio and things like that. And it's like, that's just one component. You still have to be a whole person. I will say I am a producer, though. I've executively produced 2 projects. So
my bad. I meant Beatmaker. Sorry.
Yeah, facts. And so went back to that first point. I will say that only in music do people feel like there has to be a linear definition of producer, which is so weird, because I'm an event producer. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I also have executively produced 2 projects. Obviously, if I put producer in my bio, people are going to ask that. But it's like, I produce in so many different, I'm a creative director. It's like, there's so many ways to produce. If you create a product, you are a producer. So it's
Agreed.
Weird that Khaled, being somebody who is a non-traditional producer, would say something like this, but you're right. But no, I think that, yes, I have seen it. I will say it used to be independent music. That used to be the focal point of the music industry, like independent artists, independent creators, because everybody was like, F the labels, you can do it on your own. That was a trend. That's really where I'm at as a human, not necessarily F the labels, but you can do whatever you want on your own. But now I do see the arc is going back to Futuristic, and no disrespect to him, not to bring any more attention to him, but it's like, I'm unclear why he has so many videos about producers if this isn't the case. Do you know what I'm saying? Because he's an artist, he's an entrepreneur. There's so many other things that he could be teaching about that he has an actual expertise in. You know what I'm saying? Like, niche, but he went broad and is going broader into producers. So I do agree with that. I think about the targeted ads on YouTube. It's all towards producers. I think the goal right now is to tell people it's so simple to be a producer. Why aren't you making millions of dollars? So it's attracting this whole new audience of people, because that seems to be the crux of what the producer community, the undertones of the producer community is expressing right now. So that's why I think there is a need for people like you and Curtis King who are educating on the business side, because I don't know. It's an interesting trend. I will say, I think it's low hanging fruit and not, again, being disrespectful to anybody who's in the space, but it feels like low hanging fruit because you can download something right now and put out a track tonight and say you're a producer. And if you're an artist, at the very least, you still have to like write some lyrics, find a beat, get a microphone. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's easy
more steps,
way, but I do think that producing is the easiest entry point to the music industry right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a strong argument.
So I'm not completely on DJ Khaled's side because it seems like he's playing a lot of different sides, but I definitely can understand the frustration. You know, same thing with photography, same thing with comedy. Like, everybody has a phone, everybody has a camera. Now everybody can call themselves a photographer. And I see old school photographers getting very upset because they didn't understand lighting and all of the different things that they had to do to become like an actual photographer. So calling yourself that is definitely watered down these days because you don't know what level of passion or care or experience or knowledge that you even have on the topic. You made a beat. Yeah, it's easier to make a beat. You call yourself a producer. But I think that calling yourself a producer 20 years ago gave us more clarity on what exactly that meant and what exactly you did to get there. You know, same thing with comedy, right? Like, comedians had to like go through the ringer and stand outside and try to get some time on stage at all these different comedy clubs and battle it out. Now you turn your phone around and make people laugh. Now you're a comedian. So I get why people are upset. You know, if you've been through the more traditional experience, I get it. I get it 100%. I would probably be upset too. You know, I'm not going to jump on the other side and say, hey, you guys aren't producers because you use Fruity Loops. But I do think there needs to be a certain level of experience, education, passion for what you do before you call yourself anything, no matter what tool you're using. Like, so that's how I feel. I get it. I don't know why Khaled, he's already at the top. So I don't see. Maybe this was just, you know, there was no intention behind it and just how he felt, even though he didn't realize he's kind of a hypocrite. He just kind of was talking. I think that's probably what this was. And just to defend Futuristic a little bit, like, I don't think that he like poked and prodded the producer community just to do it. I think he felt like he had a valid point and wanted to get that off because maybe he was going through it with a producer that day or has gone through it in the past with producers then in which he felt like the producer wanted too much of his record, no matter what side of the record you're talking about.
I think that's true. But when he was proven wrong multiple times by industry experts, he left the video up and then continued to post about it. I would say
that's the MO for anybody these days. Like, how many,
not people with integrity. No,
not Aaron. Not Aaron.
But
the point isn't clout for me. The point is clarity. If the clarity is not clear, then I'm changing it. That's what I'm saying. I would say yes to that, but it's like you made multiple videos to double down on that. You were berating people in the comments and then you left it up. Clearly you want it for the interaction. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I've almost deleted viral-ish videos because of a typo. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't. So I hear you. I don't think it has started that way. But I think him weighing in on this new stuff, I think him doubling down on his opinion, even though he was wrong, that to me seems like a clout grab.
I don't think he felt the way in which he was wrong, like, mattered. Like, because I think he was just like, oh, you get what I mean type deal. Like, I don't, and since the post was getting traction, he kind of left it up. But anyway, like, I think a lot of people, I think it lacks integrity for sure. But like, how much integrity does the average person have these days? It's pretty low to non-existent, right? Like, that's just the way people are today. They don't say sorry. They don't apologize for shit. People typically double and triple down. That's just
that's true.
If he would have left the video up and issued an apology, I would have been cool. He would have, hey, my bad, or not even an apology, issued a clarity statement. I get that if it's building traction, comment, hey guys, I made a few mistakes. Check out my next video. That to me is like good business. I can't take this video down because it's getting a lot of traction, but let me help not misguide people. When you're purposely allowing people to be misled, I have a problem with you.
Yeah,
and I agree.
That's a lot of people.
Well, that's why the podcast exists. But I agree that it was probably, and I think he even explained that was the case, that he was upset with one interaction. And I think it was with a guitarist, not even necessarily a beat maker. So my thing was like, maybe when you're in that mood, when you're feeling reactive because something negative happened to you in the business, the camera isn't your best tool at that point. Maybe a notepad is your best tool. Write out your thoughts and then, walk away from it. Because I don't. Didn't we talk about this on another episode where emotion isn't the best driver for creating that type of content? Anyway,
that's us all the time. But apparently, we're old. It don't make sense to me that your first reaction is, "I'm upset. Let me go to the internet." I've never understood that.
I mean, I understand it if you don't feel like you have other outlets, but if you don't have other outlets, that's something that you need to address.
I feel like I don't have other outlets. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, legitimately, I discuss this in therapy all the time. I have 1 hour a week to get everything off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit is hard, but I'm in a really unique place. I'm a Black woman in America who owns businesses in the music industry. I have a lot of enemies. I have a lot of, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this is not me buck up and be strong, because there's got to be a balance. But I'm saying if something is already detrimental to your mental health, you're going to a place to find either a false sense of community or to be berated. Those are the only two things that's really going to happen. Even with people encouraging you, it's still a false sense of community. They don't know you. They don't know your character. They don't really care about you. So I'm like, I get it, but I still don't feel like that's the first place that you go. I feel like there's cognitive dissonance, because if people don't react to you the proper way, then you're going to be like, F all these people, nobody really understands me. And then if they do react to you well, like in this situation, now you feel validated on bullshit. It doesn't work.
I feel like if your first reaction is to go to the internet when you feel wronged or if you feel strongly about something, you're probably a very terrible communicator. That has to be true for most people, if not all people, where if your first reaction is to go to the internet to talk about it, you're a terrible communicator. And there's probably other problems too, but you're definitely a terrible communicator.
Yeah, and to go back to your point, who isn't these days, right? I'm
not a terrible communicator. I'll say that.
Well, Aaron is consistently the exception to every offer.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
I'm agreeing with that.
We set the bar. If we keep making it seem like it's an unattainable, I communicate. I have to eat my ego. I have to I have to be disciplined. I have to find people to talk to. I have to hit Dame. I have to hit Doc. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got to figure this shit. I call my business partners, call my best friend, even though she doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let me just get this emotion off. I'm just saying, it's like, I don't want to keep saying that nobody can do any of these things, because then people are like, well, it's hopeless. I just got to be a shithead. And it's like, no, you can get better.
Well, so what I'm saying is, I agree with that. It's lonely out here. And then, so my question is it better to stand out and have integrity, since a lot of people don't, because now you're the exception, or just blend in and say, oh, I mean, obviously that's a bad question, because you have to really, I don't think anyone can have a conversation with themselves in an empty room and say, you're doing the right thing by being a piece of shit just because everyone else is. That doesn't feel good. But it's one of those, it's just, I don't know. Do you ever look at content online, like dating content, for example? It's all about a cycle of mistreatment. You know, it's like, here's how to play games. Here's how to react to games being played.
That's wild.
Yeah, but it's like that. Or like just a lot of, in the music business, I would say it's the same thing, where it's like, you know, like I think Futuristic's content was reactive, and there's a lot of content like that where people are going off of something negative that happened to them. And so the advice they're giving is more personal, but it's just perpetuating the cycle of mistreatment, where it's like, I was mistreated by someone who's being reactive, so here's my reactive content as a response to that, and I'm just spreading that energy to everybody, where now you have producers who are reacting to Futuristic's content who are like, well, fuck rappers, I'm not getting less than 10,000 a beat. I'm like, well, that's stupid. Or, you know, I'd never work with a rapper, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, you would. Come on. Why are you cutting yourself off from people? I just look at it as a parallel from all like the, you know, the little TikTok dating advice. Like, this is how to be toxic to get people to stay around with you. And this is how to catch so-and-so cheating. And here, you know, like same thing with the music business. I'm like, none of us we're just covered in layers of reactiveness, and we're not actually communicating. So I answered my own question.
This is my plug for therapy. Go to therapy. This is why, you know, if you want to apply for the therapy fund, go to the Build Your Own Dreams page, just BYOD.com or BYOD tweets or BYOD gram. Apply for the therapy fund, because if you are reasoning this way, you are not emotionally healthy. And I'm not going to tell you where your moral compass should be, because it's different for everybody. But I am saying that your reasoning shouldn't be based on ease. It should be based on truth, which is yours. So two things. One, integrity. I mean, I don't think you asked the question, like, does integrity matter? Like, integrity definitely matters. You know, you might catch a couple L's by maintaining your integrity. You'll catch a bunch.
But over the long term, you are definitely going to win. And like Aaron just mentioned, you are going to be more emotionally healthy. You're going to just be happier with yourself. And even the people that you think are winning by not having integrity, they're catching L's and they're missing opportunities that they don't even know about. Like I'm thinking of some people off top right now that I know that seem to be doing well and maybe are doing well, but could be doing so much better because somebody else hit me like, yeah, I don't mess with them because X, Y, and Z. You know, DJ Vlad is a person that comes to mind for me. Like, he might be making a lot of money, but I don't think he's happy. Like, I really don't. I could tell he's bitter. I could tell he wants to be in spaces that he can't get into. And he's always talking about like all the money that he's making now. Like, he started to insert himself more into his interviews over the year and his perspective. And I could just hear the bitterness in when he talks. So he's definitely one I don't mind saying, because I think that his platform lacks integrity. He reminds us of that all the time. You know, and maybe some people want to be DJ Vlad because it's a very successful platform. I'm just saying, I don't think he's 100% happy with where he's at. And the other thing, just going back to communication, like I feel like I've gotten a lot better over the years. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, but I will definitely give myself at least an 8.5 out of 10. Like, I don't have no problem having the hard conversation. And sometimes I look forward to them, and maybe that's a problem. And let's
talk about this real quick. I tell people all the time, I don't mind confrontation. And this is not me confronting other people necessarily. I'm saying when people come to me, especially with hard things, I'm like, let's hash it out. Why? Because I know exactly where they stand. If you come to me with some energy, I'm like, I know where you stand. But that gives me the opportunity to be very clear with you on where I stand. A lot of times, the reason that confrontation doesn't work is because people are disrespectful and they try to jab. But if you come to a good communicator with confrontation and you are willing to work through the conversation, it's a great place. So I'm with you. I don't necessarily mind hard conversations. I don't like when people are disrespectful. I don't like when people are in their feelings. I'm a woman. You can't get more in your feelings than me. Why is it that we're having a conversation, but you can't get through it without jabbing me 3 or 4 times or hearing the logic? You know, that's what I don't like, but I'm with you. Hard conversations, I'm like, let's have it. Come on, let's see. A lot of people try to avoid them because they don't have no balls. So not that this is a gendered thing, but men don't like to have hard conversations because they know they don't have no logic. It's like, let's have a real conversation.
Yeah, they're not really ready for the conversation because they know they're probably wrong.
So they want to gaslight you. And I'm not the one because I spend a lot of money on therapy. You're not going to gaslight me.
Payne, did we cover that topic? Can we move on to Aaron? I know you have another one. I know we have the Steve Lacy stuff.
Yeah, but let's jump into this Quentin Miller thing because I think that's another important conversation just on a macro level.
So I feel like I just want to put some clarity here around ghost writing. The only place that it's called ghost writing is in hip hop. It's wild, right? Any other place, they're just called writers. And the truth of the matter is, with the Drake situation, if you don't know who Quentin Miller is, just go take a deep dive. But allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly because I'm putting this on the internet, not because I don't believe it, because I know more things than I think the average person does about this situation. But Quentin Miller is essentially allegedly responsible for Drake's sound. I'm not saying allegedly because I don't believe it again. So Quentin Miller did a lot of Drake's sound early on in the days. He got uninvited from being a part of Drake's sound after it was revealed that he was a part of Drake's sound. I think that was more of a like, let me prove that this is my sound. But if it's a blueprint, anybody can follow it. Anyways, Quentin Miller, so wrote a lot for Drake, for everybody. Quentin Miller, I think, has stuff with Kanye, Shakira, he's a writer. So stuff like that.
Should we also, you're only a ghost writer if you're not in the credits, right?
Correct. Or if you're not being credited, or if it's like your song, you got listed as one of the writers, but it's really you made everything. I think that's part of it too. But gotcha. I don't know the technicalities of it because I think ghostwriting is ridiculous. And I get it. Okay, I know the ghostwriter for Bank Account. I know the ghost producer for Bank Account, right? So it's like both of those were written and produced by 2 people, right? But then it became, I think, Metro Boomin and what is his name? 21 Savage, right? The writer is still listed on the song. The producer is not. They just did a full buyout. So I guess that's a ghost writer, but both of them, but do you know what I'm saying? So I think it just depends on whose team you're working with and what they want to be known or what they don't want to be known. Right. Sometimes especially with newer artists, sometimes they do the ghostwriting thing because they know that they're going to put the money behind the song. They're not telling the artist or the producer that. So they're trying to buy out all the rights so that they can own it. So sometimes it's not even about not letting the writer know that they're not going to be named for it, or it's not even about the artist. A lot of times I won't say a lot. In my experience, I have seen that it's about the label owning 100% of the song. They'll offer producers $25,000 or $30,000. They'll be like, here, this is our song now. For a young producer, of course, you're going to be like, what? Of course I want that. You know what I'm saying? That producer took it, turned it into a publishing deal. He's doing fine. But everybody doesn't know how to flip business like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah. Quentin Miller is a ghostwriter. by and large is not getting mentioned on tracks, named on tracks, whatever. So he just put out a video. I don't know what happened last week. Payne, you or Dame can weigh in on this, but I assume that he had written for Nas. Hit Boy brought him into a session. Then he talked about it, and then people hit him up, like basically saying, don't be speaking on what you're not supposed to be speaking on. And his video that I just recently, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but the video that came up, he was like, I was invited by Hit Boy, shout out to Hit Boy, to write in these sessions for Nas. And so he's basically clarifying that I'm not going to not say that I didn't write something that I did write just because y'all want to take credit away from me. And he says that Ghost don't get credit, so he can't get paid. That's his thing. And he was like, and it's even harder when you're rich because then people feel like you don't need the credit. So I feel like he's in a really, really rough position where there's a lot of assumption going on. I don't really even want to necessarily dive into the Quentin Miller side. My point with this is that one, if you're walking into a room, make sure that you're more interested, like make sure you figure out what you're interested in. Are you interested in being in the room? Are you interested in the money? Are you interested in the credit? I have a hybrid model. I want all three, and I won't settle if I don't have all three. I'll leave. You're going to acknowledge me, you're going to pay me, and you're going to credit me. If you want to remove any of those things from the equation, I won't be there. Some people aren't like that. Some people just want to get paid. A lot of people just want the credit. Most artists just want the credit. So you need to walk in knowing what you want and don't settle for less, because what happens then, again, Quentin Miller might have made $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 just to come into the room, or it's probably free, but the residuals, whatever he gets paid and how he gets paid, he probably got a ton of money. But if his point is, I'm tired of people not calling me as much as this person who gets called, because I actually wrote 100 more songs this year than that person and landed 10, 15 number ones, but I can't post about my number ones on Instagram to get more people to hire me because I came under the ghostwriting premise. He's a prisoner in his own jail. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, again, because of the sticky situation with Drake, because of the fact that he has such an understanding of the music industry, I think, and then I think the way he talks, he put that video out, a lot of people don't want to be exposed that way. So they're probably walking in like, hey man, if you want to write on this song, we'll pay you whatever, but your name can't be a part of it. So it feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know. I'm a fan of Quentin Miller's sound for other people. I used to listen to his own music. I don't like his sound for him. I think he's a better songwriter than he is an artist, and that's no shot to him. But I do feel like these are things that need to be talked about and discussed. Some people are like, yo, you're rich, just chill out. It's like, no, I don't care how much money I have. I want to be, and not even publicly. You don't have to be like, thank you so much to Aaron Knight for doing this. I just know that when you go to look at the records, I want you to see that I have ownership here. When people try to erase me from things like that, or, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, my name is going to be on the track. My name is going to be on the festival. My name is going to be on the show. I used to just throw stuff and people would be like, oh, your artist is such a genius for coming up with this. I'm like, what? I did this whole thing. Like, what are we talking about? So I put my name on everything now. It's going to say Build Your Own Dreams, Invite Only, or Aaron Knight. That's not because I needed to be publicly thanked. It's because I was tired of people taking credit away from me and giving it to other people. So have the conversations, y'all, early on. What do you want out of this situation? Do you want credit? Do you want money? Or do you want to be acknowledged? And I think all three of those are important to me, but you got to figure out what's important to you.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add here. I think you covered a lot, and it was good. I don't know people's pockets. I don't care what people make, but I get the impression that he's not getting paid. Like what that kind of energy that he had, like, it's not, to me, like I would just assume that there's a financial aspect to this that he's not happy with. That's the kind of energy that came across to me in that video. So, I hope that I don't know if this is going to help him get future opportunities though. It seemed like he kind of
the way he went about it, I'm like, damn.
He kind of hit a breaking point. And it sucks. Because, like we talked about in the beginning of this podcast, man, this industry is wild. And you might have some very frustrating experience, some high highs, some low lows. And how do you stay balanced? you know, so I wish him the best. I don't know too much about him, but I hear from a lot of people that he's very talented, like you just said. And hopefully he can continue to get work in this industry if he wants to be in it. So
Quentin Miller, come holler at me. Let's put together some camps. Let's put together some songwritings. I know, or something to where you can make your money, because I feel his pain a bit. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not sure about the way that he went about it. I've seen other videos where he posts shit. It's like, again, what is the outcome that you want? Like, you might have got it off. You might have got people who don't know what you're going through to validate you. But is that real validation? You know, that's me right now. I'm making an exit from parts of the music industry that I've been a part of my whole time here, because it's not serving me well anymore, financially or emotionally. It's like, y'all don't care about me, and it shows. So I get his frustration, but Quentin, if you want to come up with a creative solve, that's my lane. My strength is creative thinking. I just happen to do it in the music industry. So come holler at me, Quentin Miller. And I mean that, like, I hope somebody hears this and sends this to him. If they do, if they don't, because I get his angst, and I would love to see something unique. He's got way too many credits to not be making money. Even he don't have to ask those people permission to make money. Like, he's done the work. Do you know what I'm saying? He could be making whatever the money is. I don't know. He may not want to do that, but Quentin Miller, come holler at me.
For sure. All right. I mean, I know we're probably close to an hour. Payne, we got anything else?
We'll punt the Steve Lacy again. This was a good episode.
We got like 5 or 6 minutes. I feel like you can dive into it, because it's
big.
By the time you get to it,
it won't be old, because I have a story. It's not even about him. It's about the whole. It's a big conversation about conduct, fan expectations, artist safety, so on and so forth. Because I think that's really what all these topics are. You know, like the Quentin Miller topic isn't about watching Quentin Miller's pockets. It's about a larger conversation about songwriting, specifically in the rap genre, and the stigma associated with that, and the secrecy. Because trust and believe, people have been writing for each other since, you know, the late 70s when rap first became released commercially. And somehow at some point, all of that just, I don't know if it was secretive back then, or if it became more and more secretive with kind of the rise of lyrical rap and an emphasis on that. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, if you know rappers and if you're in sessions with rappers and they have other rappers around them, people are helping each other out. And it's just what we producers too. If I'm in a room with other producers and someone's making a beat, we're all making that beat. That's just how it is. But somehow it's different when
same with business.
Yeah.
I sit and talk with my team because my team comes up with ideas with me. I may have the original thought, or somebody else does, and then we create it. I think that is the problem. It's like, it's all derivative. But in hip hop, the artist wants to be the hero. And they're like, I can't be the hero if I don't get all the credit. That's what I'm going through now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, y'all didn't do this. Y'all didn't create this. You're just a tiny part of it. We're happy that you're here. But then artists are like, nope, it's all me. And it's like, but for why? You're about to have the whole tiny pie when I was trying to give you a slice of 400 million pies.
Well, but we also have a lot of people reacting to co-writing. I like the Diane Warren versus Beyonce thing. Why do you need so many writers? And that was a gross misunderstanding of how the music business works on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's what we've come to expect by people reading credits and tearing them apart and inserting, you know, their opinion into something that doesn't require their opinion. And as we know, I think it's with the internet, but like rap fans have just become so incredibly fickle to the extent that they're deep diving into everything because they just want to. Maybe it's because of like the rise of YouTube commentary, where you get popular by picking apart famous rappers. I mean, I think that's part of it.
Well, I think that the Quentin Miller one was probably super sensitive because it was Nas. And I'm definitely not going to say that, like, I don't think they just want any rumors out there that Nas doesn't write. I mean, Nas is like typically in a lot of people's top fives if you are maybe older than 35 or 40. So, and, we know that Nas has written great records and he's responsible for probably, most of maybe 99% of his lyrics. So I just think it was more sensitive when it around Nas. I don't know what they instructed him to do, what not to do. I wasn't there, but the story was probably more sensitive because it was Nas and they didn't want any kind of story leaking out that there's a possibility that he didn't write, a piece of his song or something like that.
Yeah, I just wish the artist would just kind of clear that up. Be like, yeah, that stuff happens. What's the big deal? Even if you write 80% of a song, who cares?
I think part of it is like the high levelness. So like Nas is not going to come down to the little internet and explain himself. I respectfully like what?
Right. Yeah.
One. And then two, I think, it's like I know that the internet does not understand the music industry. I don't spend time explaining myself on there. On here, I go through thoughts that are consistent and where people are asking, but I'm not explaining myself to the internet or even my artists. I break it down for them to learn. If they're not with it, that's fine. Go do it somewhere else. I'm not trying to explain myself. So that's one side that I get. I think the other side is just, it's just people don't understand. Like with Beyonce, it could be a group of writers who had a song and they could have wrote a hook, right? And Beyonce took the first line of that hook. Granted, Beyonce don't really write. So this is not even that. Beyonce really doesn't write like that, y'all. So if you think Beyonce is writing her music, you're really out. But Beyonce is not a writer. There are other like people like Jasmine Sullivan who are writers, but she still has other writers on the song. But if somebody comes with a hook, right? Somebody comes with a hook. And then Beyonce is like, oh, well, we actually really like this hook, or whoever. We're going to take the first line of this hook. That's already 3 songwriters right there. Because all 3 of those songwriters, whether they wrote the hook or not, if it's on their song, they're going to be like, we'll figure it out. We have a track with Beyonce now. So now 3 songwriters for the opening line of a Beyonce hook are on there. Then producers are also listed as songwriters, which I guess people still don't understand. So if it took 8 producers, 6 producers, 4 producers to make that track, then Beyonce is going to get a credit. And then Beyonce is going to write one or all 3 of her kids into the credits. You know what I'm saying? So of course you're going to see 23 writers on a track. But anyways, I just feel like people don't understand the music industry. And I don't blame rich, significant people for not coming down to the internet to explain themselves to people who will be on to the next thing tomorrow.
People that don't understand the music industry are definitely not as annoying as people that do and take advantage of the people that don't. Right? Like the way that certain things are phrased sometimes on social media, it's more for clicks than education. And I guess maybe that what Futuristic would fall into. But I don't get annoyed that so much at people that don't understand the music industry, especially if you're not in it. But I do get annoyed at people to take advantage of people's ignorance of the music industry, because I think that's shady.
Yeah, well, we can talk more about that next time for sure. Once again, appreciate all of you for tuning into the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. And we will be back next time. We'll talk finally about the Steve Lacy situation and artist safety and fan conduct. Once again, thank you. Till next time. Peace.
Wait. I have to plug. Join the Excellence Academy. Don't DM me about your beats. I don't place any beats with any of my artists. Some of y'all have found my email. Some of y'all, a lot of y'all are DMing me. Don't DM me. If you want access to me, join the Excellence Academy, theexcellenceacademy.biz. But I don't place beats. I'm going to teach you how to think. I don't even really work in the music industry like that anymore. So come join the Excellence Academy, or don't DM me, or just show some love. Y'all have been showing a lot of love. Thank y'all so much. Because last week was hard for me. It's still kind of hard for me. And y'all sent some encouraging messages. But a lot of y'all sent thinly veiled encouraging messages trying to work with me. That's not going to work. That's like dudes when you break up with someone. I gotta be like, oh, damn, I'm so sorry to hear that. You want to go to lunch or something? It's like, boy, stop. So don't be that guy, okay? Because it's all men right now. But thank you guys for the love. Join the Excellence Academy.
All right. That's the real closer. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.